evening's Game of the Week is powered by Boston Sports Performance Center, where performance has no limits. BSPC is a premier sports performance, physical therapy, and sports medicine center serving the Boston and Metro West communities.
Hi Cannons fans, Sean Quirk, head coach of the Boston Cannons. Let's go back into the vault against the Rochester Rattlers 2012. A D3 phenom led this game. Wait until you see Jake Bebe, the first Division III player drafted by the Boston Cannons, and his display in this game.
Oh my goodness, what a goal!
And the opening face-off of the 2012 Major League Lacrosse season, and we are underway from Harvard. Jason Chandler, David Evans, so glad to be with you for another season of Major League Lacrosse. And for the first time ever, the Boston Cannons begin the year as the defending champs.
Right away, interesting situation for the Cannons. Bunker was able to tie up Chris Eck. This was a huge lopsided game last year in favor of the Cannons in terms of faceoffs.
Chris Eck, one of the league's top faceoff midfielders. Right now, Sean Delaney has the ball, passes behind the net. Spin move by Boyle, centering pass, knocked down in the goal, right off the bat. Welcome to the Rochester Rattlers. Kevin Lavelle finds the back of the net for the first time, and it's 1-0 Rattlers.
Right away, you see just running it through X. Boyle finds Lavelle. If you give Kevin Lavelle literally an inch, he'll get a shot off. So you have to be literally, when coaches say in his pants, you really do. He's so slick at getting the ball out of his stick.
Lavelle, the type of player that can catch any pass that's in the vicinity. Had 2 or 3 great seasons with the Boston Cannons, played for the Machine for a number of years, and Rochester scores again off the faceoff. This time it's Steve DiNapoli. The Rattlers have won 2 straight faceoffs. They've had 2 offensive possessions, both resulting in goals. And the Rattlers come into Boston and jump out to a quick 2-0 lead.
DiNapoli's a speed demon. He comes off the wing, gets a great ground ball, and look, you know he's pushing this right away. Goes right to the rack, high bouncer, so tough, coming right at you for Jordan Burke.
So already, Dave, you mentioned the battle at the face-off position was lopsided a season ago, but Craig Bunker holding his own against Chris Eck so far in the early goings. This time Eck wins the ball towards the sideline. It's a foot race kept in by the Cannons. Eck gets the ground ball, weaves his way through 2 Rattlers, and now Boston will come into the offensive side. However, that pass a little out of the reach of P.T. Ricci, but he's able to track it down, and the Cannons can settle into their first offensive possession. And Dave, while we have a moment, the forward keys of the game for the Boston Cannons.
Well, right away, you know, I nailed that one on the head. No transition goals, right? Try to eliminate transition, and then you want to keep the magic going. They had so much momentum going into the playoffs last year, and a great run. And they have a lot of similar players. They returned a lot of their guys to their roster, so they want to keep the drive alive.
This is Stone on the wing. Tries to get inside, has the ball knocked out of his stick. It rolls right to the crease of Galloway. He's able to make an easy outlet pass and transition for Rochester. They head in the other direction with a 2-point advantage over Boston in the early goings, and they'll settle into their offense.
It's good to mention too, you know, with Rochester scoring on their first 2 shots, you know, you don't let Jordan Burke settle in. You don't give him a couple easy saves early, which can keep a goalie off balance. So they've done a good job so far.
Dave, the forward keys to the game for Rochester.
Well, win some faceoffs, and clearly they've already established that that's gonna be a battle all the time, and then create transition goals with this young offense.
Burke with his first save of the game, first save of the season, pops it right up to himself, and the Cannons come back in the other direction. Ari Sussman moves it along. Open shot from the wing goes well high and wide and out of bounds. Backed up by Boston, they'll maintain possession. It's Boyle with 39 seconds on the shot clock, 60-second shot clock in Major League Lacrosse as Boyle will start from the corner.
Jason DeBow had a lane there to the goal. He kind of settled for a 12-yarder. He probably could have gone right in and gotten point blank, but he settled for that 12-yarder on the run and just blazed it high.
Here comes Rayville, reigning MLL most valuable player, tries a 2. Almost looked like he took something off that one, Dave. Missed high, backed up by Boston. They'll keep it with 15 seconds to go. Quick restart for the Cannons. Wraparound shot misses. Boyle there to back it up.
I thought Galloway got a piece of it, but I guess he didn't. Still short shot clock.
7 seconds in the timer. Boyle goes right to the net, has the ball knocked out of his stick by Guadagnolo, who kicks it into the crease. Long outlet pass, wide open transition chance here. It's DiNapoli. He already has a goal in this one. Moves it over to Lavelle. Rochester elects to settle in.
Let's switch, Jack.
The Rattlers will substitute, bring on their offensive personnel. This is Matt Strebel. Familiar name, he's been with Major League Lacrosse since 2001. By the end of this season, if all goes well for Strebel, he will be the MLL's all-time games played leader. As that shot goes wide, backed up by the Rattlers with 22 on the shot clock. It was Boyle taking the shot. Restart for the Rattlers. Jaworski.
You know, and we really didn't talk too much about it in the opening, but first game of the year, we get all these guys back together. They've been in training camp. You know, this is their first real test, so these guys look a little disjointed right now, a little off sync with each other.
That Strebel shot didn't really get on net. Burke was able to reach out and make the stop and move the Cannons back in the other direction. Flag comes out as a shot to the face. And the first power play of the season, our first man advantage, as Jake Bebe took a shot right in the face. And the Cannons will go on the man advantage with 9:50 to go in the first quarter. Jogo Godoy, the slash on Bebe, there you see right on the side of the helmet.
There's a little taste of this rivalry. We talked about Rochester and Boston, and Jogo Godoy is very physical, great at the pipe. I think he expected Beebs to try to push that around a little bit, but then he kind of pulled up, looked to feed, so.
So the first man advantage here for the Cannons. They spin it around the perimeter. Stone, left wing, backs his way out. Nice feed inside and a score! It's Bebe who stuffs it home. He drew the penalty and scores the man advantage goal. Boston on the board, it's 2-1.
Just nice ball movement. They start out in a 3-3 here, pretty basic look, and then they just drop down, you know, into a 1-3-2. You got one of the best all-time feeders ever, and he finds Beebs for a lefty finish on the crease. Jake Bebe. That's great, his first career goal in the MLL. It's got to be mentioned. A Lincoln Sudbury native Bostonian finding the net for the Cannons. That's a great storyline.
And you know, Dave Evans, doing his comprehensive work before the game, was talking to Jake Bebe's mother. She was nervous. Nothing to be nervous about. A couple of minutes in, her son already has a goal.
I told her, it's just like riding a bike. You do it every day. Go out and play, right? Have some fun. Embrace the moment. There he did. Drew the slide and then got his first goal. That's great.
Rochester will get the ball after an errant pass by Boston. The Cannons had won the faceoff, moved it quickly into the attack zone, but couldn't do anything with it. Now Rochester will settle back in on offense. Martin Cahill, who had a nice season for the Rattlers a year ago, 10 goals from the midfield position, sort of a breakout year for him.
I actually talked to Martin quite a bit. He's another Massachusetts native from Malden, and he really is committed to his training, his fitness. He's in great shape. He had a ton of fun last year, and that regiment set just made it so much more effective for him as a midfielder in this league.
Great defense by Boston. Morrissey with room to run. Gets it to Boyle, surveys the scene, elects to back away and wait for some reinforcements on the offensive side. On the other end, Dave, the Cannons with some stifling defense, triple teaming Strebel. That caused the turnover. And now Rayville with a step.
You would notice right away what Rochester, it's always interesting to see the scheme that each team's going to play with Rayville. And they're playing him with a short stick and then sliding to him right away. Which, you know, he's got to be ready to get the ball out of his stick. They want to make him a feeder instead of a shooter.
Here's Rayville. Right now has the short stick. Passes Stone, time and room. Did he score?
That was a really interesting deflection off the goal.
It was. The official, I believe, will call it a goal. Strange deflection. I think they're going to talk about it.
You got to see the replay on this. It looked like it hit the net, but it was like a wall in the net.
That's not a goal.
You definitely saw the netting of the net move. It's tough to score a goal and have the ball bounce out like that. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, David. It's tough to get that type of a ricochet.
Yeah, Coach Jacques Monty on the Rochester sideline's like, what? You know, it's like playing wall ball there. It looked like it just literally deflected out of the net. They got new heavyweight nets here, but I don't think that was that.
And you see the signal from the officials. It's a goal. Mike Stone. We need to step aside. We'll show you the replay when we get back. We're all square. 2-2 Boston and Rochester. Bar and the velocity of the shot, and I think maybe Galloway even bumped the net a little bit, caused the net to move in the background. And so in fast motion, it certainly looked like it hit the net, but I think the Cannons were given one there, but a tough call on the field. I mean, if you're an official down there, that's tough to see. That ball was coming with some heat. And nonetheless, it's a goal. It's 2-2 with 7 minutes to go in the first quarter.
I tell you, even if you went real time, you know, if the debate did start for replay in this sport, and you had to use just real time footage, I don't know if you could tell on that because it was so hard. You know, that was a great shot, a lot of power.
The Rattlers will settle in offensively here. 30 seconds in the shot clock. That shot goes over the net. Norirski looked like he was bothered a little bit from behind. The Cannons defense closed in. Here's Stephen Boyle, who played with the Cannons a season ago. And now it's Martin Cahill. He draws P.T. Ricci. Tries to use a pick. Ricci able to stay with him. Under 10 seconds now to go on the timer here. Rochester having some trouble as that bounces off Strebel's stick. Boston picks it up. Oh, nice little ground ball pass, and the Cannons have a transition opportunity wide open on the doorstep, and Bebe missed it. He has a goal already. That time he walked in all alone and couldn't put it on the cage. The Cannons do keep it as Ari Sussman gets it along the end lines. That was a really nice pass by John Hayes there, who came and picked up the ground ball right at midfield, reached around to Rattler and ground balled it ahead to Sussman, who started the transition opportunity for Boston, but Bebe could not finish. Cannons keep it nonetheless.
It was so crafty on that play, and he got his attackman a fast break by just laying it out for him.
Here's Sussman, scores! Sussman on the right wing. His first goal as a Cannon, and Boston has its first lead of 2012.
Well, in a roundabout way, Ari got rewarded for his hustle here. He makes a play, and we were unable to capitalize. Cannons were unable to capitalize. And then he comes back and gets a nice time and room shot from about 6 yards and goes near side pipe on John Galloway and gets it to drop for himself. That's great hustle. Cannons have a bit of a different look attack tonight. That mighty attack. Bebe, Sussman, small, quick guys, great sticks, and then of course Ryan Boyle, but not that typical Matt Posque.
Very different than a season ago. Posque not in uniform tonight. He'll be back next game. Max Quinzani no longer on the team. Ryan Boyle, the mainstay from the championship season from a year ago, but Sussman and Bebe getting their first starts on attack as members of the Boston Cannons. Each has a goal so far. Making the most of their opportunity. This time Sussman, however, stripped from behind. Rochester fighting for the ground ball. It's loose. Neither team can come away with it. Sussman does. He keeps hustling out there. And I'll give it to Rayville. Fresh shot clock because the ball changed hands. Rayville's first shot of the season gets knocked to the ground. Nice defensive pressure.
This could be trouble for John Galloway. Oh, couldn't pick up the ground ball off the turf. I was looking for Rayville to move it and get a possible 2-point opportunity out of that because John Galloway came out to challenge that ground ball way out of the goal, but he was unable to pick it up.
This is Stone with a step on his defender, circles back to his left, brings it straight away. Now it's Boyle. He'll drive towards the cage. Boyle, one of the all-time great feeders in Major League Lacrosse history. Cross feed, that time is knocked to the ground, cross crease feed. And Rochester will take over and attempt to clear. Rogowski with a nice play to get the steal away from the Boyle pass. And here come the Rattlers. They'll set up offensively with a little over 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. Boston 3, Rochester 2. Game 1 of the 2012 Major League Lacrosse season. The Cannons, the defending champions. Here's Lavelle, moves it along to Cahill.
We talked a little bit about that two-man game in our open. There it is right there, you see it.
Strebel loses possession, Morrissey comes free. Transition chance here again for Boston. Boyle gets it on the wing, tried to feed Ricci, he does, Ricci spins, but a save by Galloway. Good save, John Galloway. Ricci had some heat behind that one. Lavelle battling for Rochester right at midfield. Bodies fly everywhere. The officials blow the play dead. .221 to go, first quarter, 3-2, Boston in front. Could have been 4-2 if not for this Galloway stop.
Off of him, which is, you know, he's just one of those consummate team players. He's always in the best shape, and he carries a huge load for this Cannons team. And fantastic player. What's
interesting about this season is typically the Cannons don't get Rayville's services until the second or third game of the season. He plays National Lacrosse League, the Indoor Lacrosse League. His team typically makes it deep into the postseason, but this year they were bounced early. The Cannons and Rattlers have a number of players missing tonight because of their NLL commitments, but this is the first time in a long time Rayville's had a full training camp with Boston and is here for the opener, so that certainly bodes well for the Cannons. He'll be in outdoor lacrosse shape early.
Well, you know, you bring up a great point too. We talked about this last year. He went deep into the playoffs, but he still played a ton of indoor up until this game, and it's a little bit different timing. And last year, you remember, it took a couple games to get his timing down. And remember, last year, his second game back, he came out and had a blow-up game. So, you know, I look for, you know, he's going to pick up where he left off, and he's just that kind of player.
Quick restart for Boston after that shot missed the net. 15 on the timer. Boyle directly behind the net, moves it to the wing for Bebe. Up top, Rayville, 6 on the shot clock, now 5. Rayville to his left, shoots over the cage. 2 seconds of the shot clock, and the Cannons will likely just give up this possession and roll the ball into the corner. Instead of rolling it, Boyle decides to lob it towards the other side of the field. And now the Cannons can get back and go on the ride here and try to get the ball back and set up defensively for Rochester as they bring it over midfield. Less than a minute to go. First quarter, the Rattlers started hot. They scored 2 very quick goals, but after that, it's been all Boston on offense. 3 unanswered for the Cannons, and that's where we stand with time winding down in the first quarter.
Boston has definitely dominated time of possession after those first 2 possessions for Rochester. It's almost, you know, you're cursed when you score too quick in this league, because they haven't had the ball since those first 2 transition goals.
And the Rattlers really do seem out of sync offensively. They have not only have they not scored, but they seem out of sync on their offensive possessions. This is a 2-point try, saved by Galloway. Bebe gets the rebound, moves it along to Sussman. Extra pass, Cannons can't get a shot out of it. It's Boyle. He whips it behind the net for Sweeney with a long stick. Back to Sussman, crease dive, saved by Galloway. And they blow the play dead for the crease violation as the clock hits 0, and that's the way it will end. Almost a goal for Sussman, certainly making the most out of his first start here for the Boston Cannons. Sussman from the wing with the crease dive, which is allowed in Major League Lacrosse.
Galloway's a righty, so he could match sticks on that. You know, it's a great play by John Galloway, because once you dive, you go low to low. It's really hard to change the plane of the ball. So great save.
Great save, great first quarter, 3-2. The defending champs up on Rochester. Second quarter after this.
It was perfect, really. And one of those guys who reads your stick, and he knows the angles too. You dive when you dive, you lose your leverage because you leave your feet, and it's hard to change planes once you lose that leverage. And he just matched the sticks there and able to make that save at the end of the quarter.
Start of the second quarter, teams have switched ends. Rochester on offense, Jason Chandler, David Evans, glad to be with you here. Major League Lacrosse presented by Warrior, the home opener, the season opener for the 2012 Major League Lacrosse season. The Boston Cannons defending MLL champions against the Rochester Rattlers.
I like Coach Duffy's approach there. You know, it might have seemed pretty vanilla, but you know, when you have the best players in the world on your team, it's kind of like, look, stay the course. You guys started out great. You know, let's keep going, keep pushing. I like that as a player. I like, you know, hey, okay, we're not reinventing the wheel here. Let's go out and play hard.
We were talking in the break, too. You can tell it's the first game of the season, although not right there defensively for P.T. Ricci. Strips the entire stick from Cahill. The ball's loose, but both teams, it's a short training camp. A lot of these guys play indoor lacrosse. They coach, so it takes some time to get that tempo, and we're seeing that now here, a little crisper so far in the second. Shot and a score, Brian Farrell. Cannon's defender playing a little offense, hanging out in front of the cage. He helped run that break, and he picked up the loose ball in front, stuffs it home for the goal.
The Cannons are pretty fortunate. They have two poles that basically could play 6-on-6 offense, and Farrell and Kyle Sweeney, and both of them have phenomenal sticks, as you can see right here. Good ground ball, and just gets it in and out. And you know, I've been in camp with Brian Farrell for the last 5 years. The guy's got gas. He can bring it like 107 miles an hour. You know, he can shoot from anywhere.
And you see the numbers, 4 goals from a season ago. We'll also hear from Brian Farrell at halftime. Had a chance to speak with him before the game. The Warrior 5 questions. Brian's most embarrassing concert. David Evans agrees it was pretty embarrassing, so they have to stay tuned to find out exactly what it was. Although I think Dave did admit to going to this concert at some point.
Well, I mean, I buffered it. I would enjoy this type of concert, but I'm also probably 15 years old.
You're a little older.
So I'd probably I'd get into the groove. You know me though, I have fun at everything.
That's true. That is true. Cannon's defense continues to play well as the Rattlers just can't get in sync on offense.
Well, you know, it's nice to revert back to our keys, because we said that Rochester really needs to create transition. And this is one of the reasons why. The Cannons defense in 6-on-6 is very stout.
It's true, the Cannons defense certainly playing very well, very stout at 6-on-6, but also Rochester just seems to not be able to settle into any sort of rhythm offensively and even complete 3 or 4 passes, move the ball around. They're just having trouble just getting the ball around against this Cannon. Is it a matter of the Cannons defense playing that well, or a matter of Rochester just not being where it needs to be here in the season opener?
Well, I think there's 2 things. You can definitely look at that. You can look at they're not in sync right now, but it also, I think offense takes a little bit more time. It's timing. It's, you know, 6 moving parts all moving together. Defense is, you know, defense is defense. Settle in. Obviously, I'm not taking anything away from that position, but I definitely think it's a little bit easier to beat on guys and be on the same page, settling in. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. As well as the fact that Rochester's got, you know, they've had a pretty good flux of players. They got a bunch of new players playing together right now, and they're without their quarterback in Stuart Karate. So that's a pretty big hole right there for them.
Rayville shot knocked to the ground by a pair of Rochester defenders. Bebe able to track it down. 38 seconds of the shot clock. The Cannons did get a reset after Mike Stone hit the crossbar. Now down to 30 on the timer. Stone gets by his man, brings it up top. Leaves it for Rayville, took a step in. He's checked by Jack Reed. Good matchup, Rayville scores! Sweeping in front of the cage. Quick release for Rayville. The MVP is all on the board for the first time in 2012, and Boston has pushed its lead to 3.
I really like this play. I'll let it reel out for you, but I like it when Rayville sets picks for guys, because they don't want to leave that matchup. They're very matchup oriented with him. And you see here, Diogo Godoy just a little tough on the lateral movement. Rayville's so fast, he can get a step on him. But when he rolls off of that two-man by setting the pick, he has a 2-point shot opportunity right away. He bobbled it a little bit, but then he quickly can redodge off of that play. And I think that's great for him because rather than him be the focus of the play from the start, he's going to get more shots that way.
0 goals in the last 18 minutes for the Rattlers. We noted they started fast, 2 quick ones. 2 goals in the first 58 seconds of the ball game and nothing in the last 18 or so minutes.
Yeah, Rochester's got to hunker down. Coach Sudan might want to get a timeout and get these guys a little more focused. They got to win some face-offs. They got to get a couple possessions. Just let their guys get warm. They haven't had the ball.
Boyle directly behind the cage, had his man hung up for a moment. 9 seconds. Rayville will have to shoot, has time, has room. Galloway low to save that one. Back comes Rochester, a chance now for the Rattlers to try to do something offensively.
They got to use a full 60, maybe get a goal or get a deflection off the goal and get another 60. They need the ball here. They need a good possession.
Roski has it, goal line extended. Couple of jabs by Jack Reed. Now he brings it around. Underhanded shot, hits the crossbar, comes rolling towards the Rattlers sideline. We've seen a lot of crossbars today.
This goal too, it's that ball hit right in the corner, it looked like. Interesting angle.
And so far, Dave, sort of doing what you asked for. Wraparound shot saved by Burke. Another shot clock reset, and now we have a little bit of a scuffle here. Pushing and shoving continues. That's more like it for a Boston-Rochester matchup. Historically, since 2001, these two teams play an awfully physical game when they get together.
Yeah, I actually think this is pretty tame. I've got to remind myself they're playing Rochester.
Cahill circles it out to the deep left wing. Rochester will set it up. They are certainly getting the extended offensive possession you were looking for, Dave.
Yeah, let's get their guys involved, get them some touches.
This is Lavelle, stop and start move, nice feet in front, hitting in front of Burke. He's able to reach out, moving ahead to Farrell, who has a goal already. Cannon's defenseman feeds in front, Boyle, extra pass, Bebe scores in the top left corner. Boyle to Bebe, Boston 6, Rochester 2.
He wasn't making that mistake again. He went hard, low and away right, missed last time. He got Galloway moving.
8.5 minutes to go, second quarter. It started for Boston with a nifty save by Jordan Burke. And it ended on the other end of the field with a Boyle to Bebe goal. And Boston is in front by 4.
Short sticks and then move the ball. But with Rochester all last year, they use Karate as that guy and initiate from him. And he can break his guy down, so he creates a sliding situation. Right now, the Cannons don't have to slide.
I mean, in terms of finishers, it's Lavelle out there. Strebel, of course, one of the great midfielders who's played this game. He's played it for a number of years, but you're right. I mean, the focus on offense is Kevin Lavelle, and Lavelle is at his best when he's hanging around the crease and finding creases and cracks in the defense and room to set up and catching the ball and finishing inside. He's not necessarily the initiator that Rochester needs right now to get their offense moving.
Right, absolutely, and it's all within ball movement off of, Kevin's great at dodging too, but it has to be off of ball movement. If it comes in, like, look, you're going to go to the goal, everybody's looking at you, that's where he struggles. Because, he gets a slide and then guys collide with him. He's not huge, and that creates problems for him, but they need somebody to initiate and create some type of movement on the Cannons defense to get some seams.
Here's Rayville, step inside the 2. Galloway got a piece, the post got a piece of that one as well. Boston keeps it. 2 more saves for Galloway on this possession. The Rattlers take it away. Good defense by Rochester. Transition opportunity. Godoy, Lavelle fakes it, takes it, save by Burke. Went low to get that one. That shot may have been tipped by a Cannons defender. Didn't have much behind it by the time it reached Burke, and now Boston settles in offensively as the teams go end to end.
I think Kevin would have loved to have that back and just shot it right away. Shot it around the defender. He kind of pump faked. You're right. He got tipped. I think somebody got a poke on his hand, which is amazing. And you talk to young defenders out there, that poke check to the hands is so disruptive for a shooter. We talk to our guys at LS all the time about that and how disruptive it can be.
Shot up top and score! Owen Smith comes into the game. First touch, grabs a goal. Boston up by 5.
It's a great little over-the-top star pass. Just breaks this guy down. It's a great shot. And it's a high. You see how he keeps his stick high? It's so hard to read for Galloway. Keeps it high and goes high, and he thinks he's got to go down because he's going high to low, but he doesn't. That's a great shot. All you youngsters out there, that's the way to hit the goal. Take advantage. One shot, one goal for Owen Smith. Great story, too. Hebron, Maine, Bowdoin College, MLL. All right, let's talk about hotbeds. I love it. I love that, the sports everywhere. And you look at this field tonight, too. You just go down this field. It's amazing how many guys are in this game from non-quote-unquote traditional hotbed areas. So I got to bring that up because I think it's great. It's just an ongoing thing with our sport.
It certainly is. We have players from Maine, a number of guys from Massachusetts out of the field. Connecticut, Rhode Island on the rosters.
I got a New Hampshire and Boyle.
That shot misses. Certainly the rosters are dominated by the New York, the Maryland, the New Jersey, but the game is spread, and there are a number of non-traditional markets represented here today.
Yeah, with Owen Smith too, it's not traditional. You can get a good athlete, plays defense. Owen Smith's a skill set player. Jake Bebe, another guy, skill set player.
Skill set player with a hat trick here tonight in his first start as a Cannon. 8-2 Boston. Bebe again left all alone. And the Cannons right now having their way with the Rattlers. Tim Sudan not impressed with the performance of his team so far.
It's great ball movement, way to share the ball. Spin it around, and Jake Bebe's the receiver of a great finish here. It's Paul Rayville keeping his eyes up. Again, high to low, wraps around Galloway. Almost unstoppable for a goalie. And there again, the change of planes. He didn't go high to high.
Changing levels like Coach Duffy was preaching when we had that great sound from the Cannons huddle as Eck wins another faceoff, pops it up to himself, but violation on the Cannons will send it back Rochester's way. The Rattlers in desperate need of a goal here to stem the tide. An 8-0 run for Boston after the Rattlers scored 2 in less than a minute to start the game. All Boston.
A lot of people may know the rule, but just to clarify, when Chris Eck pulls that ball out after he clamps it, the ball has to pop out on his first attempt. And when he doesn't, it's considered a delay. That's why there was that turnover. The change of possession there off the faceoff.
Cahill gets a shot on the wing, misses the cage, so no reset for Rochester. Cahill, Malden, Massachusetts, you mentioned it. $17 on the timer for the Rattlers. They have a long possession here, which is good, but they need a productive one. This is Rogowski. He's bothered and loses the ball. Another turnover for Rochester. The Cannons will look to capitalize in transition.
They have numbers.
Sweeney up top, and that pass not handled. And so Boston, it looks like now will keep it. No turnovers. Flag comes out. Sweeney lurking behind the net. Fakes it to Boyle, keeps it. Centering pass. Doesn't get through, and that will stop play as a flag came out around the bench. May have been a substitution issue. The flag was behind the play. The official explains things to Galloway. And while they chat, we'll step aside. 8-2, Boston in front of Rochester, 3:34 to go in the first half. Rochester can worry about getting things back on track offensively. They need a stop on this Cannons man advantage with 3.5 to go in the second quarter. Rayville fakes the pass. He'll keep it and bring it up top around the perimeter. Stone. They play catch, and now Rayville feeds the Crease. Shot. Score! Boston! Ari Sussman from a tough angle. 9-2.
I'm going to throw it out there. I don't know if it went in.
That's another one. How many more of these are we going to have?
That might have been a 2-3 piper, but I don't think it went in.
How did this one hit?
I know it hit the low corner and then went top left corner, but I don't think it went in. Oh, that was in the back.
Back pipe.
Back pipe.
Back pipe goal.
Great shot.
Wow. Two pipes. It didn't quite get the third one.
I can't for the life of me.
Two-piper.
I don't understand how that ball pops up off that flat bar. That bar on the bottom of the goal is flat for that reason. And it just hopped right up. What a shot.
Huge scrum in front of the net for that loose ball. And the Rattlers will come away. Some heavy hitting in front of Galloway. And that might be the recipe here for Rochester. I mean, the Rattlers historically a physical team, a defensive-minded team, and right now things aren't going so well offensively, so perhaps to get a spark here to light a match for Rochester, might be time to ratchet it up in terms of the physicality in this one.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I'm an offensive player, so I love to see the game get up and down, but they've got to do something. They got to get chippy here. And start, listen, if you're going to score goals, you're going to pay the price. I mean, that was always the case with them in the past.
This is Narosky trying to get towards the cage. He's pushed and moves behind the net. And again, a turnover for Rochester in the offensive end. And again, we come back the other way for Boston with room to run.
I don't know why the ref blew the whistle. I have such an issue with that. We try to push the pace, and we talk about college across right now and how slow it's gotten. He didn't need to pick it up. Let P.T. Ritchie go. No whistle.
Explain to the fans at home why he blew the whistle there.
He blew the whistle because I think the shot clock ran down. I
heard him say delay a game, but I'm not sure exactly that the shot clock. There seemed to be time.
Oh, I know what happened. If the offensive player gets in the way of the goalie when he's trying to throw that outlet pass, it's considered delay a game, and they blew the whistle. But it was a play on, so it should have been a play on whistle.
That Rayville shot whistles wide with about 24 to go in the second quarter. 9 unanswered for Boston, 7-point advantage. Ball comes all the way out to midfield. Cannon's able to keep it in their offensive zone. They have 9 seconds to work within the shot clock. Weaving through traffic, that shot saved by Galloway, and back come the Rochester Rattlers. Maybe Rochester can get something going here with Legal. That shot misses wide of the net again. Rochester continues to struggle offensively. Less than a minute to go.
And 5-on-4, I'd love to see them go down the side with that. And at least get it down to the low pipe where guys can hit diagonal cutters, but, he went for the home run, diagonal. He should have had that. That was a good look.
Shot clock's turned off. Cannons can hold for the final shot here as DeBow makes his way to the right. Leaves it for Stone with 30 seconds to go. In a dominant second quarter for Boston, barring anything strange, the Cannons will have shut out the Rattlers in this quarter. DuBois' shot misses wide. Stays with Boston on the backup with 21.8 ticks on the clock. Boyle the restart on the end line to Rayville. It was 3-2 after one. It's 9-2 now here as we close the second quarter. 8 seconds to go. Bebe, who's had a hat trick, or check it, Sussman, who just had the man-up goal, gets knocked to the ground, loses the ball. Rochester throws it end to end, but that's the way the first half will end. The Rattlers will go to the locker room looking for answers. It started strong with 2 goals in 58 seconds, then nothing for the next 29 minutes and 2 seconds.
The Boston Cannons Game of the Week is powered by Boston Sports Performance Center, where performance has no limits. BSPC is a premier sports performance, physical therapy, and sports medicine center serving the Boston and Metro West communities.
Looking back at that first half, Possessions are huge in the game of lacrosse. Chris Eck just absolutely dominating at the face-off X. Also a member of Team USA back in the day, leading the charge with possessions and certainly scoring goals in that first half. Check out the second half, and we'll see you at the conclusion of this game.
In the second half, Jason Chandler, David Evans at Harvard Stadium. 2012 Major League Lacrosse presented by Warrior. Ball pops free. Boston gets the first possession of the second half.
Excellent machine. You know, he just got warmed up, and I tell you, Coach just addressed it. Coach Sudan just addressed it. Their face-off guy, Bunker's brand new, so Eck didn't know him yet, and he figured him out pretty quick. So they got to do something here to muck it up at the X so they don't just get dominated on the face-offs.
This is Rayville.
It's such a rock, paper, scissors, you know, out there on the face-off, especially in this league, because there's a quick whistle and the refs, the guys jump everything. It's kind of like, you know, it's tough.
Rayville scores in the inside pipe, manages to sneak it past Galloway.
Little grease on this ball, it sneaks right inside near side pipe, just like you said, Jay. That doesn't normally go on Galloway. Usually he'll jump on that pipe, you know, give you the far side, but I don't know, he tucked it under there. Just you know, really a testament to Rayville's velocity. You know, it's so hard to judge, especially on the run.
So Rayville able to tuck it into the near pipe, had 28 goals a season ago, as you just saw. Ned Crotty, who's not with the Rattlers tonight, playing in the NLL, winding down that season, had 29 as the Rattlers win this face-off battle. The ball's deflected before it can reach Jordan Burke. It goes out of bounds, backed up by the Rattlers. Napoli with a shot. Napoli had that second goal of the game. It seems like an eternity ago for Rochester.
Yeah, that's tough for Jordan Burke too, because he really hasn't seen a lot of rubber. So to stay up and warm, especially right out of the halftime, is really hard.
Cahill didn't exactly know where that pass was going. Jack Reed's right there for Boston. He'll retreat into the corner and move it along to Burke, and here we go for Boston back the other way. We mentioned no Crotty for the Rattlers. I mean, the Cantons are down players too here. Mitch Belisle, arguably their best defender. Kevin Buchanan, one of their best offensive midfielders. Pat Heim and Bill McGlone, who's a new addition to Boston, who could become the #2 scoring midfielder right behind Paul Rayville. So this Cantons team, who hasn't really had much difficulty tonight scoring, is missing three guys who are among their best goal scorers and one of their better defenders in Mitch Belisle, and the Boston Cannons haven't had much difficulty playing defense either. In front, score, right on cue. Bebe with another one.
It's a great roll-off. Watch this crease play here. Rayville pops, Bebe slides right to the net. Textbook off-ball two-man play. Jake Bebe has great handle inside, just turns and finishes. Great look by Paul Rayville too. I thought he was going to shoot it, but he took the one more. And they got a nice layup there.
And there you see the inactive players for each team, and certainly Rochester missing a number of players, more than Boston. This Rattler team is going to be much better when they get the full complement of their roster, but then again, so is Boston. But certainly Rochester on the shorter end of that stick in terms of NLL players who are inactive for the beginning of the MLL season, which started earlier than it ever has here.
Two guys that stick out, obviously Ned Crotty, phenomenal offensive player, but Dan Hardy, big, strong lefty, midfield attack type. He can play both positions, and he creates matchup problems all over the field for defensemen because of his size. And then even bigger might be the Rochester Pole, who's he's not in the lineup tonight because he's so great off ground ball play, getting the ball up and out for those guys. So they're definitely missing some significant players.
Boston is on the man up here after a penalty after the Cannons' goal, but the Cannons didn't win the faceoff, and they haven't been able to take it away from Rochester. The Rattlers are just content here to work off this penalty. 15 seconds on the timer for Rochester. Down to 5 seconds of the shot clock, and the Rattlers have effectively killed off this penalty. They'll just throw it away towards the end line, and that's where Boston will take over with 11:09 left to go. Third quarter, 11-2. It's all Boston Cannons. A 9-point advantage.
I'm a little, I get it. You know, they ran out the clock there, but Rochester's losing 11-2. Why not take a chance, go to the rack, create something, at least try to get a matchup where you might be able to push a little bit. I mean, they just gave away a possession, which they need every one right here, because now it's a possession game. The Cannons are fine to sit back there because it's a clock game for them now. They're winning by 9 goals.
Bebe double teamed. What a game he's had in his first ever Boston Cannon start. 4 for Bebe, local product. That time he couldn't keep possession. Rochester gets it. We'll see if the Rattlers can push the envelope here. They got to that ground ball. Coach Sudan at the start of the second half here, he identified ground balls, face-offs. Those are the 2 factors, particularly ground balls, that he believes will move this Rochester team into a better offensive position. So they've won a couple of ground balls here in the second half, but so far it hasn't translated to goals, and really it hasn't translated into too many good shot opportunities, never mind just goals.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jay. They just kind of content to take the shot on the run right there from Cahill, not looking for nothing inside. I'm actually surprised there's not more 2-man action out of Rochester. They're typically those guys on ball picks and trying to, they're very slick inside, goal line extended type stuff, and they're not doing any of that right now to create some matchup problems for the Cannons.
Hayes attempted to feed Sussman there on the crease. That caused the turnover. Rochester will clear. We take a look at the last Burke save. The Cahill shot on the run. Burke just very calm. He's someone we haven't really talked about for Boston because he hasn't been tested all that much, but he had a phenomenal season a year ago. Easily could have won goalie of the year. A 10.6 goals against average, 62% save percentage, 7-3 for Boston, and most importantly, won an MLL championship. Wraparound shot kicked aside by Burke. Tested there, went low, able to make the stop.
Well, Jordan's a fellow Brown graduate, so very near and dear to my heart. So I can talk all day about him. But we said last year when he catches up to the velocity of the league, he's going to be really tough, and he's so fundamentally sound. He's a great guy to have behind you. He makes tons of big saves.
Here's Lavelle, guarded by Farrell, goes behind the back with that shot, misses the cage. Flag did come out. Rochester will go on the man advantage. And maybe this is what will get Rochester going. It's been over 35 minutes since the Rattlers have scored. But when we come back, Sudan's team will be on the man advantage. They trail by 9, 8.5 to go in the third.
Shot on the left-hand pipe. Notice all the guys they mentioned are all lefties. Rolling down. You got Cahill and Lavelle looking to catch this ball and then get a left-handed shot and finish down on the pipe. That's what that play was, drawn up. But it looked like they were a little indecisive there at the end. There it is.
Shot you were looking for, the rebound, stuffed home and a score. Rochester's scoring drought has ended.
Cahill took the shot. Burke made a great save, but a rebound, and they were able to crash the pipe.
Rogowski. Here's the save by Burke. Rogowski right there, went right into his stick, and he's able to tip it home. Greg Rogowski played at Merrimack.
Martin Cahill's got a ton of gas. He's probably in the 105 range. And to save the ball is one thing, but to be able to corral it is another. And there you go. You get a nice rebound. And Rochester's always been great at crashing the crease. A lot of their guys have their roots in the box, and they play upstate indoors a lot, so they love to crash the crease on any type of rebound play. It's actually, it's almost like a scripted play with them. They're so good at it.
So Rochester finally ends its scoring drought, but Boston wins the faceoff. They come right back. Sussman fakes it, takes it, save. Galloway went low to make that one. Nice save by Galloway. Sussman was able to get past his defender, but John Galloway, big stop, and now Rochester trying to string together a couple of good offensive possessions.
This is a great play by Ari Sussman. He's right on the pipe where he's supposed to be for backup and then the pinch, and he corralled that shot that went a little wide and then came around like you said, he beat his man, but there again, he dropped his stick low, and Galloway just went down and said, look, if I'm going to save this, I'm going to go low. And he was able to corral that ball. It's tough. You got to change the planes again. If he rose that, went low with the stick, and then shelved it, brought it up to the top pipe, probably would have scored.
Flag comes out. Rochester will go on the man advantage yet again. It's a holding call against the Cannon, so 2 straight man-ups. John Hayes whistled for the infraction. We'll take a look here, Dave, as he comes around.
Hayes just dragged him down.
Takes him right to the ground. So hold is the call after going over 35 minutes between goals. Rochester now with these back-to-back man-ups can string together 2 in a row.
And for fans out there that aren't familiar with the MLL, you got to be careful because the MLL has a 2-point line, and I know it's 11-3 right now, but 11-3 can go away quick with a couple 2-pointers.
Stephen Boyle was right on the doorstep there, but couldn't finish it. Here's Lavelle from just inside the arc. That misses wide. 41 seconds left on the man-up and on the shot clock. Around the perimeter it goes. This shot misses wide of the net, backed up by the Rattlers. They'll maintain possession. That was Cahill on the wing. Restart for Rochester. Getting some good shots off here as that one misses wide of the net. Narosky is able to track it down in the corner. Boyle again, who really had a great opportunity early on in this man advantage but couldn't convert. Now Lavelle has it, goal line extended. Moves it inside. Though Delaney has some trouble with it, picks it up along the sidelines. 10 seconds left to go on this man up for Rochester. This is Cahill directing traffic, spins back to his left, drives to the cage, behind the back shot, misses, hits Brian Farrell. Boston kills the penalty. Now they have transition. Boyle whacked a few times by Guadagnolo. Boyle, the veteran, so crafty, waiting for offensive reinforcements, gets it in the man of Mike Stone. And now up top for Rayville. To his left, has a step, gets the double team as usual. Spins back right, left again. Stone and around the perimeter it goes to Bowe. Sussman trying to go up and under his defender, unable to do so. 19 seconds on the timer as Boston has a crisp offensive possession here. It's Rayville sweeping. Sussman to the cage, crease dive, scores! Ari Sussman, the crease dive! 12-3, Boston in front.
Great ball movement. Paul Rayville draws so much attention, but he's distributing the ball really well tonight. And Ari just sees an angle here underneath, and that's, you know, it's one of those things. It's great with the ability to crease dive. He caught that ball about a yard behind the GLE, but he's able to get upfield. He wanted that shot back from before. He already got stuffed, so you knew he was going to come around hard.
How about Sussman and Bebe? First MLL starts. Bebe has 4, Sussman has 3. Certainly the beneficiaries of all the attention that Paul Rayville draws, but they're making the most of their opportunities out there. They have finished when they needed to finish.
Absolutely, and we have to. It is the MLL. There's a shot clock. You've got unbelievable players drawing attention up top. You're right; those guys are finishing it. There's at the other end of the field, that's not happening. So, it's a true testament. Those guys know how to finish.
Talk about coming a long way for Bebe, former MLL intern, as Adam Jupiter in the truck reminds me. So he's gone from intern to practice squad to 4 goals in his first start in Boston.
That's right. Started in diapers. He's ended in cleats. Nice work. Bebe's a great time.
That's the mailroom analogy. That's like starting in the mailroom right there. He moves right on up.
Oh, absolutely. I'm with you.
Oh, what a nifty goal for Sweeney. Kyle Sweeney.
He always goes to X. You guys got to check this out, because in transition, when Sweeney's on the field, he goes to X because he loves this dunk.
Sweeney looking like an attackman, playing offense for Boston with 3:42 to go in the third quarter. Goes to X's, Dave says, and just a nifty little low to high goal.
He's laid it right off his helmet. Beautiful.
Last year from the defending MLL champions when they were on their way to the team's first championship. No Pasque, you have no Buchanan, no Heim, no Max Quinzani, who's no longer with the Cannon. So Boston getting it done with some new faces on offense. Paul Rayville being the mainstay there, and you're right about Kyle Sweeney. The reason why that's of the spectacular variety, it doesn't look all that difficult, but to do that with a long pole, there aren't too many players in the world who can play with a long stick the way he does, the way he can just go to X, the way he handles the stick. I mean, that's reserved typically for crafty attack, but not defenders.
Well, and if you watch, he even faked out Galloway and the defender. Like, as soon as he turned his head and turned his shoulders on his body, everybody thought, oh, he's going to go feed and run around the goal. And then he just came right back front side and stuck it, and they caught them both off guard. You know, he's so crafty. I mean, I watched that guy in college outscore like the other team's best middies. You know, he's just that good with his pole. You know, you go down, take it away from his best midfielder, and then go down and score. And just be like, oh, I'll do it again. I'll do it again.
Boston able to clear despite the pressure from the Rattlers. It's Stone. 10-point advantage for the Cannons, 13-3. Boston will settle in offensively, roll it to midfield. Tough angle shot by Stone, who's bothered on the play by Legal. Cannons will keep it. Back up top it comes from Boston. Galloway save, it's loose in front, picked up, shot, another save by Galloway. Two right in the chest area for Galloway, makes both saves and then makes a perfect clearing pass. Here comes Rochester with Legal and some room to run. Now Lavelle, behind the net it goes. Here's Boyle, checked by Sweeney, pushes him all the way out beyond the 2-point arc. And again, the Rattlers will set up.
Kyle Sweeney is a finesse attackman's nightmare too. You see Boyle coming around the cage, and Kyle's just hanging right behind him. As soon as he pulls his stick out, he's going to try to take the ball away. You have to play physical with Kyle. It's only real vice, if you will. And even then, it's really tough to get your hands free with him because he's got such a great stick.
Boyle will settle in offensively. It goes behind the net. It's Sussman. He'll run the end line. Fans, don't forget to log on to MajorLeagueLacrosse.com to join the discussion with our live blog and chat during every MLL game this season.
You notice here Coach Duffy, he's going with his second midfield line, getting him a lot of run here, which is great because, Jay, as you know, the more he can get his second and third guys runs and touches in the MLL games, you know, his bench becomes so much deeper in the big, tight games.
Rattlers defense collapses, and here comes Rochester back the other way. Now they have some time to run here. Not much time on the clock, 30 seconds. Time certainly not Rochester's friend. Nifty little spin move there to get free by DiNapoli. Missed the cage though, and no one behind the net to back it up. Sweeney there, loops it the length of the field. Plenty of time here for Boston with 20 seconds. Fellow defenseman Farrell, who has one of Boston's 13 goals, stripped from behind. It's loose, picked up by Bebe. 10 seconds from Boston to work with. Here's Boyle, 5 on the timer. Boyle drives towards the net and unable to get a shot away. Boston content to just hold on to things and hold on to that big 10-point cushion that they have right now. To the fourth quarter we go. It's all Boston, the defending champs, up 13-3, 4 goals for Jake Bebe. And Boston's offense has been clicking on all cylinders because of it.
Well, one thing I'd say, and you got to give Ari Sussman and Jake Bebe credit, they're great off ball. They're feeding off of, like, they know who they play with. They watch these guys play, and they understand, like, if they move their feet when slides go and get behind their defender, they're going to get good goals. And Boston shares the ball, and those guys are kind of the recipients of a majority of the goals tonight, but you got 8 different guys scoring for Boston right now, which is great.
I'm sure Coach Duffy likes to see that scoring sheet filled up with as many names as possible. DiNapoli with it for Rochester. On the other side, the Rattlers had 2 back-to-back man-ups where it looked like they might be able to string together some offensive momentum. They did get 1 goal as this shot goes well over the net from DiNapoli. He was bothered defensively, but still Rochester struggling to find that offensive momentum here. And 10 points is certainly not insurmountable in this league with the 2-point goal and the 60-second shot clock as Lavelle gets whacked by 2 or 3 different Cannons players, loses the ball, and Morrissey brings it in transition the other way. Boyle and the Cannons settle in offensively. Along the sideline now as the Cannons. Owen Smith back to Stone inside the 2-point arc, has a step, feeds Sussman, another crease dive, and another goal. Sussman loves the crease dive, again comes from the side of the net, this time goes high with it. He has a hat trick. Boston has a 14-3 lead.
Ari's great at this. Catches the ball, he sees it, loves the angle. He's quick and fast too, so he can get underneath. He's like a water bug, just squirts right through here. And he's feeling it now, he feels it. Loves getting through there. And just dunking. It's almost, you know, like as a goalie, it's so hard to play. Ask any goalie. The crease dive is so tough because when they come torpedoing through there, it's like, how do you hit them? If you can't match sticks, it's hard to hit a guy like that when he crease dives.
Bebe and Sussman, now they both have 4 apiece. Sussman from Dartmouth, 2010 grad, 5'8", 175, so similar size to Max Quinzani and playing a similar role right now for Boston. That pass inside came with too much speed to be handled, too much traffic in front as well, and Rochester moves it back the other direction.
It's hard sometimes. Rayville had a step, and I think he wanted to let it go, and then he saw Beebs cut underneath. I think he wanted to hit him with a feed, but he couldn't slow down the momentum. It's really tough when you do that. As you're dodging a score, and you're like, oh, he's open, and you kind of take the velocity down. Next thing you know, you're blowing the ball through the guy's pocket. Well, that's what you're doing, right, Jay?
Absolutely. Miroski gets past his man again, trail check by Morrissey, and the offensive struggles continue. Boston playing great defense, and now here comes Sweeney, one of their Farrell rather, one of their defenders who already has a goal here tonight. Couldn't handle that pass. Give it a go with Sussman. Out of the net comes Galloway, back the other way for Rochester. Well, they have a little bit of difficulty getting it across midfield.
We were talking in the break about transition goals for the Cannons. It's not a lot of like fast break stuff, but slow breaks, filling lanes, and of course Farrell, we talked about their 2 poles, Farrell and Sweeney. And Rochester will get guys off the field and their poles will run the break and they'll get that slow break opportunity right there. That was a great opportunity for Farrell right there. He just mishandled it. I know he wants that one back, especially after he had to run back down the field.
Start and stop for Cahill. Jordan Burke, nice save, tracked it all the way, popped it up and makes the outlet pass. Here comes Boston back the other way. Hayes reaches back to catch that one, thinks about the 2, doesn't do it, walks his way in, misses the net. Dragged that stick a little bit, was able to get his defender to commit, but couldn't hit the net on that one, and Boston will settle in offensively. Certainly time on the Cannon side, and no issue for Boston in slowing the tempo down here. Sussman exchanges the ball with Boyle. The Cannons settle in offensively. .42 to go, 4th quarter, 14-3. Boston giving the home fans a treat here in the season opener. Rayville, another goal, he scores. Paul Rayville, that patented sweeping to the left move, just too much velocity, too hard to save. Rayville nets another, 15-3. It is all Boston.
It's textbook. I don't know if anybody else in the country could shoot like that. I don't know if anybody else has in the past. He makes it tough too because he literally runs to 15, and if he doesn't really get in on the pole's hands like a lot of normal midfielders will do and then step away. He just takes a line and says, I'm going to shoot it. It goes in. He's so much velocity on the run. It's really tough to judge.
3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points for the reigning MVP. in game one of Boston's title defense. Dave, we talked at the start of the game, the Cannons, they're an original MLL team. They were sort of the hard luck franchise when it came to winning championships, not getting one from 2001 until 2011. They were in the playoffs pretty much every season, and now they come in here with a different attitude and a different feel about this team. They're a team that has a target on its back. Certainly every team has, in any league, they always do. They'll give the defending champs their best shot. But Boston so far has reacted very positively to their new role as defending champs, and they don't seem to be feeling the pressure of that at all, as we have a scuffle in front of the net and the flag comes out.
I agree. They're playing with poise. They look in midseason form here throughout this game. Later in the game, early on we were talking about some drops, looking a little sloppy, but they really have. You're right. A lot of poise. And it looks like they're having fun, which is the most important thing. I think you got some young guys, some new talent out there, which helps. Some guys that are like, look, this is my opportunity to play. I got to make the most of it, which helps as well. But then you got your usual suspects, and Paul Rayville is just distributing the ball and doing what he does.
Usual suspects like Ryan Boyle, who took a little umbrage to that Jogo Godoy hit, and then Montelli for Rochester came in and pushed Boyle right back, and that led to the little fray in front of the net.
Jogo's a big boy. He brings the hat. We played against him when he was at UMass. He dropped one of our middies who's about 6'4", 250. Made him look like a sack of potatoes. It's pretty impressive hit.
He certainly fits that old-style Rochester mentality, and that physical little altercation that occurred in front of the net, that's something we were calling for a little bit earlier in the game for Rochester's Boston. Unable to convert on its man advantage here. That's the style of play that you remember from Rochester. Head coach Tim Sudan, certainly a big part of that. The Rattlers in transition, saved by Burke. Jordan Burke, another big save. He's tested again. Again he makes the save. Still it's loose, and Rochester maintains possession. A couple of nice saves by Burke.
Change it! Change it!
Jay, one of the things you talk about, one of the original franchises with Rochester being one of the original franchises as well. They're a team that had that core of guys that are all Rochester natives. Reggie Thorpe was pretty much the captain of that mentality. If you're going to score, you're going to pay for it. And those guys all played with that charisma. Chris Schiller, all those guys were real tough, solid players. And I think with some of the youth in this franchise, you lose a little bit of that mentality. You've had a couple coaching changes, and you got a lot of youth now where none of that original roster is still there, other than Coach Sudan, who's obviously on the sideline. But it's tough to really kind of brew that mentality if you don't have it from the start.
Stone almost took Boyle's head off there. He missed the net. Boyle had to duck out of the way, back it up with 20 seconds in the timer and 7 minutes to go in the ball game. Boyle gets whacked there, loses possession. Rayville right there to pick it up for Boston. It's funny to say that Paul Rayville, the MVP, certainly gets all the attention as having a quiet 8-point night, but he does seem to be having a quiet 8-point night.
Well, I think, he started out, and to Paul's credit, he started out getting everybody involved. Remember when he came out of the box, he was moving the ball and they were sliding. And I think now they're just trying to match up with him one-on-one and not slide to him with the pole. And you can't do it. He's going to get his shots. He's going to get his looks. And now he's starting to score.
And that really is a good sign for Boston, too. I mean, when you have Paul Rayville notching 5 assists on a night where Boston's missing some offensive firepower and they have some players who haven't been on the field much for the Cannons, you would think a guy like Paul Rayville is going to say, hey, the offense runs through me. I'm going to take the shots. I'm going to be in on every single possession. And instead of shooting more when his team was down some of its better offensive players, Rayville decided to pass more. And it's worked out phenomenally for Boston as more flags come out. And Jordan Burke was whacked a little bit there as he was trying to get rid of the ball. We'll sort it all out when we come back. 5:44 to go, fourth quarter. Boston 15, Rochester 3. First start as a Cannon and playing very well.
Great finisher. They need that guy too. They lose Guinzani on that left pipe, so they need a finisher. So that'll be a big, we might see him a lot this year if he continues to have that kind of success.
Man up opportunity here for Boston after the penalty. The slash of Jordan Burke, who was out of the net. Behind the back pass, open room on the right side for Dubois, shoots it, saved by Rochester, and they maintain possession. It was Lavelle who was whistled for the penalty, and the Rattlers set things up offensively.
It's Mike Gable coaching, goalie change.
Speaking of, again, Massachusetts product.
Falmouth.
Played at Vermont. Was a Cannon for a spell.
It's a big guy, big goalie, 6'4", 205.
Had some nice years with the Machine in Chicago when they were in Chicago. Cahill works on Farrell, hits the side of the net. Burke hugs the post, and Farrell instantly gets into that clearing position. He's knocked to the ground, gets back up. Flag comes out. And again, Boston will go on the man advantage as Farrell was knocked to the ground. Pretty solid hit to me there, not sure exactly.
Well, you interviewed him at the 5 question mark with Warrior, and he's a big boy. That was pretty athletic.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. 4:01 in the ball game, and the Cannons once again will go on the man advantage here. We've talked a lot of Boston, Dave, and rightfully so. The Cannons have been dominant today, 15-3. If you're Rochester, I mean, I think you'd be remiss if you don't look at the fact that you're missing half your roster with NLL players. There's big names like Crotty, there's role players, there's a number of guys that will be back to make this team a lot better, and certainly not indicative of the way this Rattler team could play this season. 4:01 to go, fourth quarter. Boston 15-3. It's all Cannons. Final 4 minutes after this.
Of a competitor, played at UMass, and he plays hard all the time, puts his best foot forward. I mean, you can tell he's extremely frustrated. A little late there, but he made a play. It wasn't a slash. I mean, at least he went for the body. So you got to respect that when a 5'8", 190 pounder's going after a 6'5", 240 pounder. So I'll give Farrell the edge there.
As Boston settles into another man advantage here. Nice tic-tac-toe passing. Cannons can't finish. That was beautifully done right there. Perfectly set up, but Boston couldn't finish the goal there.
Jake Bebe's he's a little jinxed right now on him. He's out for his last 3. I don't know what's going on.
That was beautifully set up.
I like that play a lot.
Stone around the perimeter. Feed comes all the way up top. Shot now misses over the cage. Boston does get it back. Boyle's right there to back it up, and Cannons will run out of time with a man advantage. Matt Strebel for the Rattlers. He hasn't been in quite some time. We received word that Strebel had a hamstring injury. Strebel, who is going to be the MLL's all-time games leader at some point this season. He's out with a hamstring injury, so no word on the prognosis, but that's the official reason for no Matt Strebel here in this ball game. Hamstring injury. Approaching the 2-minute mark here in the fourth quarter. And the Cannons cruising to an easy win in game number 1 in 2012. These two teams played twice last year. Boston won them both, and really the story tonight is right there on your screen. 2 goals in 58 seconds to start the game for Rochester, and then 1 goal after that for the rest of the game, and just no offense for Rochester, and Boston's offense was certainly good, but the Cannons' defense, Jordan Burke, deserve a great deal of credit in shutting down this Rochester team.
You got to give a lot of credit to the defense. Every time Rochester tried to push on offense, they just got stifled. You know, and I love Coach Duffy's dry explanation at halftime. We're playing defense. I get it, but you got MLL level competitors here trying to create breakdowns in the D, and the Cannons just played really hard.
As I was saying, the teams played twice last year. Boston won them both, but the last game of the season was Boston-Rochester, a real thriller, in which the Cannons won in overtime, giving Boston some great momentum heading into the postseason, which they obviously played very well in, winning the MLL championship.
And you know, Jay, remember that game, the scenario, you kind of set it up for the, Rochester was an upstart team mid-season with Coach Sudan taking over. They had a couple big-time players. Karate was having a great season. That was a great game, and they showed a lot of promise there, so expected a little bit more tonight. But like you said, we've made note of it. I think duly noted. They're missing quite a few players right now. So.
Certainly. And it's not just guys like Karate who are the big names. They're missing role players, they're missing defenders, midfielders. So this Rochester Rattler team will improve. And they're a young team too. They are a young team. They don't have a lot of veterans. They have guys like Lavelle and Strebel, but for the most part, this is a very young team. Boston, more of a mix between the veterans and the younger guys. But this Rochester Rattler team, much younger than the Cannons, and the defending champs have not missed a beat between 2011 and 2012. A dominating performance by Boston. Game 1 of their title defense, Jordan Burke, he makes 17 saves tonight. Boston's defense is stifling. They give up just 3 total goals, 3 total points, and some new faces and some familiar faces come up big. Steve Duffy, game number 1 as a head coach, gets win number 1, and Boston's 2012 season is off to a good start.
The Boston Cannons Game of the Week is powered by Boston Sports Performance Center, where performance has no limits. BSPC is a premier sports performance, physical therapy, and sports medicine center serving the Boston and Metro West communities.
What a dominating game there by the Boston Cannons in 2012. Led by Jordan Burke in the cage, turning away 17 of 20 shots to close out the final score 15-3. Jake Bebe scoring 4 goals out of Springfield College. Ari Sussman, the Dartmouth College product, scoring 4 goals. And Chris Eck, just absolutely a force at the faceoff X, winning 11 of 20 faceoffs. We'll see you back here next week for the Game of the Week.